Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Watchlist. Basically, think of this as a monthly TV guide for me to let you know what and when TV shows that I'm interested in, that maybe you're interested in, are coming out. Like always, in the description down below, I'll include links to any trailers that might be available about anything that I bring up during this watchlist. On March 1st on AMC, there's this new series coming out called Dispatches from Elsewhere. Essentially, it seems like basically this group of 4 people are basically, from the little bit I picked up, it seems almost like a little Truman Show-ish. Like, they basically see, like, wait, things aren't kind of what they are. It's almost like some grand conspiracy is going on, and this group is trying to figure it out. Jason Segel's in it, Sally Fields, Andre 3000 is in it, which is pretty dope. But the fact of the matter is, it's a group of 4 is trying to figure out, like, something I was reading was saying, like, oh, they'll find, like, magic and stuff like that. I don't know whether they just mean literal magic, because it's just, like I said, it seems like I don't know what to really 100% make of the show based on, like, the trailers and commercials I've seen of it. But, I mean, it seems interesting. I don't know how far, like, down the rabbit hole it's going to go, and, like, you know, but it seems interesting, so I'm interested to check it out. The series premieres on March 1st, but there's also going to be the second episode airing on March 2nd, obviously the next day, so do keep that in mind. Speaking of March 2nd, on March 2nd on FX, we have this new series called Breeders. If you've ever seen the show Catastrophe on Amazon Prime, it's kind of similar to that tone-wise, except, you know, rather than it being an accident, it seems like it was on purpose. Basically, they have 2 kids, and this family is, these 2 parents are just kind of like, kind of struggling through it. It seems like that's the main focus of, just seems like this, like, kind of dark comedy of these parents just kind of getting overwhelmed, dealing with the fact that they have children, and literally kind of just, I think what any normal person would do is kind of eventually when you get too stressed out, you kind of snap, but it seems like it's more on purpose, and it's just them figuring out, trying to live lives now that, like, oh, we have kids and they need a lot of attention, and, you know, so I think this is like the first comedy I've ever seen Martin Freeman in. I know he's probably done other comedies in the past and stuff like that. I'm not that well versed in his filmography, but just from what I've seen mainly of him, it's mainly been dramas and stuff, so it's interesting to see him in a comedy. But just the way it is, like I said, I definitely get very Catastrophe vibes, which is awesome because I like the show Catastrophe, so I'm interested to check it out. On March 4th on FXX, we have a new series called Dave. Essentially, it's about Dave, aka Lil Dicky. Essentially, it's like almost kind of like taking his life and basically turning it into like a comedy, kind of a dark comedy show, where basically like, oh, trying to make it as a rapper and stuff like that. Obviously, we see plenty of cameos, and even in just a trailer alone, cameos and appearances from plenty of rappers. And the fact of the matter is, you know, his struggle trying to, you know, make it in the world and stuff like that. So like I said, it's just like a more comedy. I mean, it might be taking some aspects from his real life and applying them to like a comedy show. But yeah, I mean, I think it just from the trailer alone, it looks super funny. Something I pointed out in the trailer, I was like, holy shit, I had no idea Andrew Santino was in it, so that's pretty dope. I'm a fan of, you know, Lil Dicky's music, so I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm really interested to, you know, check it out. Like I said, the trailer seemed really interesting, so. On March 5th on FX on Hulu, which I'll get to that in a second, there's this new series called Debs. I can honestly, tell you, I'm not 100% sure what the show really is. Essentially, it seems like, I think this woman is coming to find her brother who kind of disappeared, because he works at this, I guess, this group or whatever called Devs. I don't know whether it's kind of like this, like cult-like thing, because even the dude at the end was like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, no, it's up for you to figure it out. And I was like, wait, what? So it seemed, I don't know what to make of it. It just definitely seems like oh yeah, there's like something like very kind of like wrong going on here. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm here to find, like I said, it could be her brother, but maybe it's her friend. But in general, it's like, I'm trying to find someone, and it's like they disappeared when they came to work here. So, you know, it seems like they're up to something sinister. Like I said, it just seems weird. I'm down for weird. So like I said, like, I know I'm probably missing the point, but it just seems like I don't know what the show's really about. But I'm still interested to check it out. What I referenced earlier about it being on FX on Hulu, I guess like going forward, like Hulu's going to do more like FX original stuff specifically for it. You know, so I guess it's going to have like a tab of like, oh, here's FX original stuff specifically only on Hulu, or maybe it's kind of considered more like an add-on or a plug-in kind of aspect, whatever the case may be. It's on Hulu specifically. I don't think it will air on actual FX on like the network from what I'm seeing, because it said exclusively on FX on Hulu. So on March 6th on Amazon Prime Video, there's this new series called ZeroZeroZero. Essentially, it seems like there's this family. Essentially, it seems like it deals with like a Mexican cartel, basically in the drug game business, and it seems like there's like, you know, different levels to it. There's, you know, the buyers, the sellers, the brokers. In particular, it seems like there's this family at the middle of a kind of like this American family, essentially, where it's like they are the brokers and they're kind of caught in the middle of what seems like it's basically a drug war operation of, you know, a fight for power between different people who are trying to after this like big shipment of drugs. And obviously this family in particular has staked a lot of money into this particular venture of brokering this deal. Even though I've never seen it, it seems like it has remnants of kind of like Narcos type of situation. Even, like I said, even though I've never seen it, I've seen trailers of it, but it feels like it might have that type of vibe. I don't know if it's necessarily anyone big in like the cartel drug game that will necessarily know, like, you know, in that, like those type of situations, or like an, you know, an Escobar, you know, type of situation. But what, like I said, just from the trailer alone, it seems interesting. It does say limited series, so it might be kind of a one and done thing. We'll ultimately have to wait and see. On March 10th on NBC, there's this new series called Council of Dads. Essentially, it seems like basically this dad ended up dying, but before he ended up dying, because he knew he was sick. And the fact of the matter is, he builds up like this team of dads to basically help, you know, take care of and look after his family after he was gone. It seems kind of like a heartfelt show. Like, if I could like compare it to anything, I've never seen This Is Us, but it seems like it's kind of in that vibe of just like, oh, you're going to go through some feels type of situation. Another example would be like A Million Little Things. I know that's a different network, but still. Granted, I need to catch up on A Million Little Things. I'm super far behind. But it seems like kind of one of those type of things of like, oh, like those heartwarming, like dramatic moments of just struggling to like, you know, his wife, you know, dealing with the fact that he's gone, you know, and just, you know, having the kids, but also having this council of dads, like, you know, be around to kind of help, like, through the tough times, doing the stuff that, you know, their dad would be there for them for. So it seems really interesting. It seems like it might have a nice humorous side to it, but I definitely see like it being just a very like heartfelt drama. So I mean, I saw the commercial for it and I was like, oh, it seems pretty interesting. So on March 15th on HBO, we have season 3 of Westworld. Don't have really too much to comment on this because I have not seen a trailer, but also mainly because I'm not caught up with Westworld. I'm actually just starting Westworld. I'm like on episode 6 at the time of me recording this. I figured, you know, with season 3 around the corner, I'm like, I'll check it out, you know. Once again, I've dived a lot more deeper into like science fictional stuff. I wasn't always the biggest fan of sci-fi stuff, but I feel like as the years is going on, I've become more and more of a fan of it. So it seems really interesting. Just from the little bit I've watched so far, it seems very like existential, just about kind of like the differences between like, you know, the lanes between what makes someone real and, you know, realistic, you know, AI, like people that are, you know, it's a whole interesting thing. Like, it's like I said, where I'm at, it seems very existential, but I mean, who knows, like, you know, because obviously I know obviously what's going down in season 3 is literally built off the backbones of some stuff that goes down in season 2, which I don't really know anything about season 2, but I'm interested to dive into Westworld. Like I said, I haven't, you know, I don't know what to expect because I'm not even caught up yet, but you know, by the time season 3 rolls around, I'll be caught up. So on March 16th on the CW, we have the return of Supernatural now moving from Thursdays to Mondays now to finish out the rest of its final season. I believe that's how things are going to roll out from now on. But I'm very interested. Like, obviously, you know, not get too caught up in spoilers. Sam and Dean have kind of got their mojo back, if you want to kind of leave it at that, you know, without going into spoilers. But we also had an interesting development of someone else's return and everything, and what that means, because obviously we're kind of lock and loaded. We're heading down that stretch to like, hey, let's take down. Well, let's just go for it. Let's take down God once and for all. And it's like, oh, we can stop him because he's going for now, but who knows if he'll stay away. What that kind of means, what kind of plan, like, this character's return, what it means, what's going to be necessary for all of it, like what Billy has planned, you know, because this is all her plan kind of set in motion. I mean, will it work out? I mean, we're literally talking about taking out God, so that's definitely going to be interesting. I'm very excited. I don't remember what episode number this is. we're definitely already a little ways into the back half of the season, so I'm super excited to see, us trucking along to the very end to see how Supernatural comes to an end. And since we are talking about returns, Prodigal Son on Fox is returning. I am very, very excited, especially where the last episode left off. If you don't know, Prodigal Son went on about like a month break, but it's going to be back on March 16th, and things are, like, I've kind of thrown out there my theories about, like, because obviously, like, Martin went through some stuff last episode, and I'm curious to see what that carries over going forward into this episode. A lot of developments for Malcolm in particular, like, resolving a lot of stuff that he kind of felt about his dad. He kind of thought he felt one way, but now he sees, like, all this kind of, I'm really curious to see where things kind of go from here. Like I said, I put my own thoughts and theories out there about, like, the box situation, the lady in the box. So it's going to be interesting. It might not be something we tackle immediately, but it's definitely going to be nice to kind of get back in the roll of things, of finding out, where things kind of take us for what I'm assuming the rest of the season of Prodigal Son. So. And also on March 16th, also on the CW, we have season 2 premiering of Roswell, New Mexico. Okay, so a lot went down last season. It's kind of interesting because a lot of the story that they kind of set up was kind of resolved a little bit. I mean, obviously there's still a lot of loose ends because it's like, well, what about that Max situation? What about that return? I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's like, what does that mean going forward? That's going to turn into complicated stuff, especially like when you start parading around town, like, you kind of have to hide the fact that this person's alive again and everything. But also, I think we're going to definitely dive deeper into understanding, Isabel, Max, and Michael, like, understanding more about where they came from, because they learned a little bit more about the history of, like, wait, there was someone else around, but that person died, right? So it's like there might be, learning more that maybe, who that person was could have potentially been, their mom or something. Because stuff from last season pointed out that maybe Max was royalty, so it's like, what's that all about? Is anyone going to come looking for them? Stuff like that. So I'm really curious to see, where things kind of end up taking us this season. And finally, on March 27th on Netflix, we have season 3 of Ozark. Super excited to see what's going to go down in season 3, considering the craziness that was season 2. The thing I'm most interested in is, like, where's Marty and Wendy going to be at, in this season? Because Wendy went through some changes in season 2. Won't spoil it, but I was like, dude, I'm curious to see if season 3 is going to be Wendy's season. Like, I think Wendy's definitely going to be kicking it up, because I think once I've said it before, I think Wendy found herself in season 2, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of effect that has on just her development as a character. What stories that ends up being a byproduct of that, as well as just, like, what that means for her and Marty, what that means for her and her family. I'm curious to see what the Root situation ends up looking like, whether or not she ends up, because operations, whether they stay with her or not, we'll just kind of leave it at that. Some other developments as well, like I said, try not to get to the nitty gritty of, spoilers and stuff like that. Because at the time we were recording this, the only thing that came out was a date announcement video. It'll probably be another week or two by the time a trailer actually comes out. Typically that's how stuff happens with Netflix. Usually it's like a week or two prior to the season come out, they'll usually drop a trailer. So kind of aside from my own thoughts and theories, I have no idea what to actually expect from this season. Very excited to have Ozark finally back. And so that brings this month's watch list to an end. Like always, if there's something that's coming out that you're aware of that maybe I wasn't aware of, that you think maybe me or someone else will be interested in, don't be afraid to leave it in the comments down below. But really, that's all I want to talk about today. Next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.